Scientific Director at Olmix Group.
So, good afternoon, everybody. And thank you very much to the organizers for having invited me to present about the use of algae for feed applications. So, my name is Nyvall Collen. I'm working for the French group Olmix that use seaweed for animal and plant applications. And I've been working for seaweed the last 30 years. So for livestock, there are challenges all along their life with high stock densities, short rearing times, different stressful events during the rearing period, feed stress with feed transitions, mycotoxins, environmental challenges, as well as different types of health challenges and pathogens. The consequences of these different challenges are impact on gut integrity, sensitivity during immunity gaps, higher sensitivity to pathogenic outbreaks, lower vaccine response, increased mortalities, and poor growth performances. So the gut barrier function and immune functions are challenged throughout the life of animals. As has already been presented by the previous speakers, algae, both microalgae and seaweeds, are in line with global, European, and national policies and consumer demand for more sustainable resources and more sustainable food. And both seaweed and microalgae respond to the United Nations sustainability, several of the United Nations sustainability goals, different European initiatives around blue growth, bio-based economy, food systems, and circular economy, as well as, for example, the French initiatives of eco-antibio and eco-phyto for reduced antibiotic use and reduced use of phytochemicals. There is a strong scientific consensus on the interest of using microalgae to improve health in aqua species, but also in ruminants, as well as in monogastric species. And all this scientific evidence exists also for macroalgae or seaweed species with direct impact on the animal health, but also on animal nutrition, and with a second step of improvement of the quality of the outcoming product, which can have secondary effects on improved human health. There are already available solutions on the market based on seaweed products. For example, seaweed meals with Ascophyllum nodosum from the Ascophyllum nodosum tasco, which is from Acadian sea plants. There are algal blends from ocean harvest technology with ocean feed that is designed to deliver the performance of all types of species, and also blends of seaweeds and microalgae powders from all microalgae and algae plus, based on a mix of seaweeds and microalgae. Olmix have, however, taken the strategy of working with seaweed extracts for animal applications. So to present Olmix Group, it's a worldwide actor founded in 1995 by Hervé Balesson, based on trace elements, clays, and seaweed as raw materials for plant applications as biostimulants or animal applications for feed products or veterinary products, and with the aim of providing solutions for the agroecological transition. In 2021, Olmix had 635 employees, 3 research centers, several industrial sites, 36 subsidiaries, and selling towards over 3,800 clients in over 100 countries, and with a turnover of 120 million euros. And Olmix is working on seaweed biorefinery since the beginning of the 1920s, with a unique know-how going from the harvest of the opportunistic seaweed via the biorefinery extraction. We today have an industrial site on a 2-hectare site in Brittany, where while the harvest and washing steps take place at the coast, close to the harvest sites, the rest of the processing takes place at the factory. With know-how in harvest, extraction, and complexation of the fractions. It's a zero-waste process where all of the raw material from the seaweed are being used, and a full control of the supply chain. We have our own research centers where we work on the processing part of the seaweed, going from harvest to extraction, and where we do have also the capacity for identification and characterization of our active molecules. A pilot plant for the scale-up, but for the different applications, the screening of different biological activities, and the demonstration of the modes of actions, we are working with a large panel of R&D partners, which gives us access to knowledge on all types of animal species, plant species, and different in vitro models for characterization of the extracts. So our technologies today are the algae clay technologies, either which have a structural effect on the clays for increasing and modifying the interlayer space of the clay, or completely opening the clays for increased catalytic capacity, and also the bioactive algae extracts based on sulfated branched heteropolysaccharides, or MSP, where we have 4 different extracts that are characterized. MSP mucin for digestive welfare, MSP lipids for lipid metabolism, and MSP immunity and MSP barrier, which have an impact on immune functions. So for the rest of the presentation, I will show you the work that has been done to demonstrate the activities of the 2 different extracts with an impact on immune function. So for MSP barrier, we've been working with intestinal biotech development in France in a model of colonic epithelial cell line. And what you can, if you look at the graphs, the blue graphs are the graphs where the seaweed extract has been added. The gray bars are the controls with the no treated controls. And as you can see, there is a reinforcement of the tight junctions, which is important for gut barrier function, and also an upregulation of the expression of mucin genes involved in mucin secretion, which together allow to prevent pathogen and toxin translocation. Regarding the MSP immunity, we've been working both with INRAE in order to show and demonstrate the mode of action of the extract in vitro systems, where we have an activation of the membrane receptors TLR2 and TLR4, which gives a stimulation of different types of immune mediators, for example, cytokinins, which, as a third step, activates different types of immune cells. And this mode of action has also been validated in vivo in a poultry model by the University of Western Brittany. And these different works have been published in peer-reviewed journals and are available for everybody. And this is the work that was done with an EPEC-1 cell line and is at the basis of the demonstration of the mode of action of the extract, where MSP immunity modulates cellular and humoral response, as well as immune tolerance. It is also active both on the innate and adaptive immunity in animals. As in the other graphs, the gray graph are the non-treated control, and the blue graphs are with the MSP immunity extract. So you can see the increased expression of these genes. Based on these two extracts was formulated the feed product Algae, and with which we have been working to demonstrate its capacity of health effect and improved performance in industrial farms. So in this trial, we were working with a poultry integrator in France, and about 400,000 broilers of our Ross genetics were treated with the product in 10 repetitions in 2 identical houses, with control and test from 0 to 35 days, with algae introduced at 1 kilo per ton in a control group using a competitor product versus the group algae. And the results was an improvement in body weight, reduction in the feed conversion ratio, improved daily growth, and an increase of the net benefits of about 50 euro cents per square meter. So, and if you take the improvement in the net benefits per chicken, it's very low, but when you're working with 400,000 chickens, it starts to be important levels anyway. So there is an improved performance compared to a competitor product, reliability and repeatability of the results, and increased net benefits. In addition, we also have performance demonstration in poultry, both on the products and demonstrating that the mode of action that was demonstrated for the extract can also be confirmed with the formulated product. And also another study showing that the immune modulation that is brought about by the product will have protective effect towards viral pathogens. In this case, we used the Marex disease virus as a model. The product can also be used in ruminants, and here we have done field trials during that dry period under heat stress conditions in Spain on a commercial farm with 50 multiparous dairy cows, also at an inclusion rate of 1 kilo per ton. And the average temperature during the trial was 33.5 degrees. And we obtained a 2% increase in milk yield, reduction in haptoglobin in the serum, which is a marker of inflammation. So there was reduced inflammation in the cows. Improvement in the open days for improved insemination, and improvement in the net benefit per cow. We've also have data on the impact on colostrum quality, where Algae improved by 13% the level of satisfying colostrum quality, reduced the level of borderline colostrum quality, and of poor colostrum quality. The product has also been tested in aqua, in several different species, here with pathogen challenges, and we see a consistent result in increased survival after pathogen challenge. The black bar is the unchallenged control, the gray bar is the challenged control, and the blue bars are the albumin-treated samples. So this has been tested in olive flounder, gilt-tailed sea bream, and red tilapia. The product has also been shown to have an impact on skin mucus complement activity in rainbow trout, in olive flounder, and in red tilapia, where it strengthens the mucosal barrier integrity and the immune response. As you can see in this trial, where they have verified the goblet cell count in the gut after treatment with the product. So overall, this demonstrates the impact of seaweed extracts in immune stimulation of different species, and the capacity of Olmix macroalgae products and extracts to produce functional and safe feed for healthier animals and a better performance, with the aim also with a healthier food for consumers. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed. Our following speaker will be speaking about applications of algae for EPA production. Please welcome Dr. Charles Rowe, the Chief Technology Officer of Algae Biosciences Incorporation.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Charles Rowe, and I'm with Algae Biosciences. We are a biotechnology company, and tonight I'd like to speak to you about the use of algae to manufacture and produce omega-3s, specifically EPA omega-3 fatty acid. If you could cue my presentation, please.
It's going to work. Just, can you make it close to you?
Sure. There we go. So let me talk to you first a little bit about aquaculture and fish oil and fish meal. The production of fish is typically done by wild capture as well as aquaculture, and aquaculture has been growing over the years to become a very dominant player in the production of seafood, whether that's farmed fish or farmed shrimp. And in the production of fish and shrimp by farming, feed is a very significant cost component, and therefore it's important to formulate healthy feeds that accelerate growth, reduce mortality, and produce healthier fish that consumers will want to purchase. As you can see here, we have fewer and fewer wild-caught fish every single year that are essentially being taken out of the oceans. And a growing number of people every single day require the seas, i.e. seafood, to produce their protein source. So on a daily basis, at least 3 billion people require seafood as their primary source of protein. This comes at a time when we are harvesting more and more fish, and we're taking about 70% of what we harvest out of the oceans and feeding it back to farmed fish to support aquaculture. Furthermore, one single supply, one single source off the coast of Peru is responsible for the production of the bulk of the world's fish oil, which contain omega-3, EPA, and DHA, omega-3 fatty acids. When you count the fact that we are in an era of climate change, we have supply vulnerabilities, supply chain issues. This creates a lot of challenges when it comes to making sure we have a stable supply of omega-3 EPA and omega-3 DHA, as well as a stable supply of fish meal to ensure that we can produce enough farmed fish and shrimp. This is an article from about 2 weeks ago, stressing the fact that rising demand and an erratic supply of fish oil puts at jeopardy our ability to supply the world with a good source of omega-3 fatty acids. And this particular article encourages us to look at alternative sources of omega-3 fatty acids, such as microalgae. Now, let me talk a little bit about microalgae as well as marine protein, because they can both be sourced from algae. Omega-3s are good fats and oils. Your body needs them on a daily basis, but your body does not manufacture omega-3s. You must consume them as part of your diet, whether that's as a result of eating fatty fish with omega-3s or by taking a nutritional supplement. Furthermore, the two most important omega-3s are EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid, and DHA, docosahexaenoic acid. It's important to note that if you consume EPA, your body will make the DHA that it needs. What's very disturbing is less than 20% of the global population get enough EPA and DHA on a daily basis. So we must find new ways to get consumers to add more omega-3s to their diet, and we must increase the supply of omega-3s, because if everyone took the daily recommended allowance, there would not be enough fish in the sea to supply the omega-3 needs of the world. Omega-3s have been studied for the past 70 years. They are the 5th or 6th most studied molecules in human history, after aspirin and penicillin and a few other drugs. There are a number of health benefits associated with both EPA and its derivative, DHA. Chief among them are brain health, joint health, heart health, and a whole host of other benefits that your body gets from consuming EPA and DHA. But not only do your bodily organs and your tissues and bodily systems need EPA and DHA, every single cell in the human body requires EPA and DHA. In fact, your cell membrane in every cell contains EPA because it's an agent that mediates and reduces inflammation at the cellular level. And DHA is associated with what we call cell membrane fluidity. In particular, DHA is a chief component of the fats contained in your brain, and it's often incorporated into infant formula, specifically so that infants can develop their brain and their eyes properly. The original source of omega-3 EPA and DHA is microalgae. And the only reason that we're harvesting fish for their oil containing EPA and DHA is because fish are getting their omega-3s through the aquatic food chain by consuming either algae or something that ate algae. Now, what Algae-Sys is doing is we are going back to the original source of the omega-3s, the microalgae, and we're cutting out the fishing that's required in order to produce these omega-3 oils. And so our products essentially are a replacement for fish oil, but because the strains of microalgae that we're using also contain protein, we can also replace some of the marine protein that are produced by harvesting fish. We are using heterotrophic production of microalgae, that being fermentation. We essentially feed sugar to algae in closed vessels, which allow us to control contamination and also reduce any challenges associated with harvesting fish that might have plastics or PCBs or mercury, lead, other heavy metals, dioxins, and environmental contaminants. Now, omega-3s are growing in demand. They are a functional additive to many foods and beverages. And as you can see on this slide, on the left-hand side, you can add omega-3 fish oil to peanut butter, to milk, to supplements that we feed to horses, to pet food. A variety of different animals, as well as humans, benefit from consuming EPA and DHA on a daily basis. Furthermore, protein sourced from microalgae can be incorporated into alternative meats, such as Impossible Foods burgers and some of the other types of products that consumers are increasingly demanding. Plant-based sources of protein right now are very much in demand globally speaking. But even here in the kingdom, even within Saudi Arabia, you don't need to go any further than Nadi or Dr. Al Suleiman or even the grocery store to find different products that have omega-3 fatty acids incorporated into those products. Everything from eggs to supplements. Even the first omega-3 drug, Lavazza, is available in Saudi pharmacies. So we can take omega-3s and add them to food, beverages, pharma, and a variety of different products that are manufactured and sold here even in Saudi Arabia. So Algae-Sys is essentially producing powdered algae by means of fermentation. And that powdered microalgae has EPA, which converts to DHA in your body, and it also has plant protein. And we can use this powdered algae in various feeds associated with aquaculture, production of livestock and animals, as well as in human foods, beverages, and human nutritionals. Shown here on the left is our initial product that we are producing, the powdered brown algae that can be used and incorporated in both shrimp and fish feed. Additionally, we can take this same powdered algae and remove and extract the oil. And that oil becomes something that's very valuable for human nutritional applications. Once we extract the oil, what's left over is basically a plant-based protein with a little bit of carbohydrate left in it as well. I've also taken these algae oils with omega-3 EPA, and I've nano-encapsulated them. That way, I can mix oil with water and oil with aqueous-type beverages. Furthermore, the omega-3 oils that we are producing can be put into gelatin capsules and sold as nutritional supplements. This slide illustrates the various markets that my company is targeting, starting with aquafeed, fish food, essentially. Our powdered algae can also be put into animal feed as well as pet products. And once we get to the point where we have an extracted oil, we can sell into the human nutritional space, making supplements, functional foods, cosmetics, and if we concentrate our oil, we can even make pharmaceutical compounds such as ethyl ester omega-3 EPA. And there are currently 3 omega-3 drugs in the market and at least 50 omega-3 drugs under development. If even a quarter of the omega-3 drugs come to market in the next decade, you will outstrip the source of supply, the oceans, and the fish that are currently producing our current supply of omega-3 EPA and DHA. The products that we are producing are vegetarian, vegan, they are halal, they're non-GMO, they're carbon neutral. They have many benefits, as I mentioned, to both animals, fish, and humans. And our technology is both modular and scalable. As long as we have a source of sugar, and as long as we have an industrial biotechnology facility where we can ferment our product, we can virtually make these products anywhere in the world. And in particular here in Saudi Arabia. This technology is climate change immune. Furthermore, the technology that I've just shown you is in alignment with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, just as many other algae companies here in this conference are in alignment with the UN SDGs. And I want to talk for a moment about how aquaculture is so important to Vision 2030. I admire Vision 2030 and the goals that Saudi Arabia has established. In particular, I believe my company can help with the growth of the aquaculture industry. In fact, I believe that the Middle East and also Europe are fast becoming leaders in food security, sustainability, as well as aquaculture. Because the kingdom imports a large amount of its food, food security is something that's very important to Saudi Arabia, and aquaculture can help get you moving towards a situation where you have food security because it's a very cheap source of protein. In the kingdom here, a large number of fish and shrimp farms are increasingly going up. And in the Middle East and North Africa, likewise, many countries are focusing on growing fish and shrimp in order to accelerate food security. But you're going to need feed ingredients produced domestically rather than relying on imports if you really truly are going to be sustainable and food secure. This slide accentuates the fact that Saudi Arabia has set a very high bar for its aquaculture industry. The Vision 2030 goal is to get to about 500,000, perhaps even 600,000 metric tons of seafood produced domestically here per year. I like NEOM's pillars. NEOM articulated very well, I think, how crucial aquaculture is to Saudi Arabia. And the aquaculture that Saudi Arabia needs must be climate-proof, and you must be able to produce your own food and feed ingredients domestically if you're going to become an aquaculture superpower, essentially, globally. 600,000 metric tons of seafood would put you in the category of being an aquaculture superpower, in my opinion. But not only can Saudi Arabia meet its own needs for protein and for fish and shrimp, but I believe Saudi Arabia is on target to become a regional, in fact, a global exporter. In the coming years, countries like Egypt are going to need ingredients that could be produced domestically here for Saudi Arabia for your seafood industry, but also exported to places like Egypt. And the UAE, in particular, consumes a significant amount of seafood every year. Lastly, Oman is also putting up a lot of fisheries. And so if you produced aquafeed ingredients here in Saudi Arabia, you could supply other countries around you with those ingredients to develop their aquaculture industries. These are some of the major feed producers right now here in Saudi Arabia, and each one of these companies has a booth at this conference. Between Naqwa, Arasco, and Maram, you really do have the bulk of the aquafeed that's produced domestically here in Saudi Arabia, but these companies are relying on imported ingredients in order to manufacture these feeds. And so a company like myself sees a great opportunity to produce microalgae here that might be incorporated into the feeds that companies like these companies might produce. When it comes to the different species that Saudi Arabia is producing, here are some examples of the different types of fish and shrimp that are being produced. And like I mentioned before, I do believe that you could start exporting these species abroad as you grow your aquaculture industry to 600,000 metric tons of seafood per year. Now, my company has an interest in putting up a manufacturing plant because we would like to service the aquaculture industry, and we have a plant design for a 1.6 million liter fermentation facility. However, having just spent the past 4 or 5 months living here in Saudi Arabia, I've come to realize that that facility is too small to meet the needs of this industry. In fact, if we were to put up a facility that would help to get to 600,000 metric tons of seafood per year, I would need to target around 4 million liters of capacity. And such a facility would cost about $250 million. Such a fermentation facility would create a lot of jobs. It would also allow you to become a regional exporter of microalgae for the aquaculture industry. And it would allow for technology and intellectual property to come to Saudi Arabia to be deployed. Additionally, this facility is also capable of producing other products for the food and allied industries. So this facility could also contract manufacture other types of products. A facility like this is something that could be located a variety of different places. My team has been scouting different locations where we could put up a manufacturing plant, and here are just a few of the places where we could adequately service the aquaculture industry and be located close to where people are producing feed and also farming fish and shrimp. And so what are the reasons why a company like mine should come to Saudi Arabia? And I can list them for you. Saudi Arabia already has pre-existing aquaculture assets and infrastructure, and that's very attractive to a company like mine. And I would like to help the feed industry here grow and have its own domestic source of ingredients to promote healthy seafoods that consumers in not only Saudi Arabia, but in other countries might buy from Saudi Arabia. I think Saudi Arabia can achieve food security and sustainability using advanced technologies like this. And I do believe you can get to your Vision 2030 goal at some point here, producing around 500,000 tons of seafood per year. I see a lot of career opportunities. I've spoken at a number of universities here in Saudi Arabia, particularly KAUST and Prince Sultan University, where I've encountered a lot of students who I'm trying to encourage to go into aquaculture because I see it's a place where you can have not only a career, but you can make a lot of money in the process. So what is my company looking for? I am looking for partners because I know we cannot do what we want to do alone. You have to partner with people. You have to do joint ventures with people. We are looking for capital, especially to put up a manufacturing plant. And we are doing an equity round of capital right now so that we can bring this technology to Saudi Arabia. But furthermore, I need customers. I need people to buy the products that I'll be producing. And I need employees, people that can help me sell product into the Saudi market and into the Middle East and North Africa. My company, Algae, owes a debt of gratitude to KAUST. They were the ones that brought us here to Saudi Arabia, and I just spent the past 3 or 4 months in their deep technology program for startups like myself that essentially have an advanced technology with very disruptive potential. Algae also just very recently signed an MOU with MISA. MISA will be helping us to transition our company to the kingdom and to get the capital that we need, especially to put up a manufacturing facility. Thank you for your attention.